Welcome to Business Talk, and time to talk about a revolution that's brewing, a revolution in capital markets that will help ordinary people, ordinary South Africans, in fact, ordinary people anywhere in the world, get involved in trading. And it's using tech to show them how. Now, back in 2019, Connie Bloem founded Netherlands-based Mesh.trade with Andries Brink, CEO of the 42 Markets Group, which is a specialist fintech group focused on building and supporting capital markets technology platforms for investment banks and central banks. Connie, welcome to the show.
Good morning, Michael.
Now, what specific problems did you identify in the traditional capital markets that inspired you to found Mesh.trade? And how do you believe that your platform can address these issues effectively?
So when we look at the traditional capital markets as it currently stands, I fundamentally believe that these capital markets are broken. They are very complex to join, they are extremely expensive, and they're not serving the fundamental purpose anymore of the reason why they have been created. Now, what is the reason why the capital markets were created in the original state? Well, it was so we can take our businesses out to market and raise good quality capital from investors that were keen to follow us on our journeys. And now the capital markets aren't conducive to those relationships anymore. It's not quick and it's not easy. It's not assisting you with building your greater good or your greater dream in life. So the way that we have built Mesh is to resolve these complex issues that we are dealing with. So we have built a platform which is called a multi-sided platform. So we have a value proposition for both issuers and investors in the market. And what we have effectively done is we have re-engineered and restructured the way that the capital markets interact with each other. So we compress everything into elegant flow. Now, when we look at the solution that we've put down in place with our platform, what effectively happens is that an issuer can raise capital for their business within minutes. Where else could you do that in the world? And the investor can actually come into this platform, browse the whole host of assets available to them in the capital markets, and invest in these assets in seconds. How cool would that be if you could raise $1 million or $2 million of your money directly from the community that's actually supporting you on a daily basis?
Yeah, ultimately, that's what we need to be doing if we want to see growth here in South Africa. Sadly, if you look at our traditional capital markets, I was chatting to Kevin Brady of one of the upstarts that's trying to challenge the incumbent in the JSE about how difficult it is to get that scale. But they've got good momentum at the moment. But also just the T day, T+3 became T0. Now you're talking T minus, because you're talking a couple of minutes that you're able to do this. Clearly, this is on the back of blockchain technology. So can you just provide us, before we go into some more of the detail, an explanation of how you achieve this using blockchain technology, but while ensuring security and compliance? Because I think that's probably one of the biggest issues for an investor and for an issuer in an environment where we've got all of this complex listing regulation.
In Mesh's instance, that's actually T+2 seconds to you get two settlements, which is fantastic. And what we effectively do is when people come to us and they want to issue an asset, we create a token around that asset. Now, I know it's starting to sound complex and technical and so forth, but a token effectively just means it's a contract on an asset. And this contract on the asset, as soon as you come into Mesh, we do KYC you, we do provide that trust and that compliance that you just mentioned that is so important for the financial markets to work effectively. A lot of people like to use the term trustless. Now, trustless does not mean the absence of trust. It means that I don't need a third party to tell me that I can trust you as a counterparty, because we know each other. We've dealt with each other before in the market. So we take this token, and when you enter into a transaction, we just elegantly exchange them on the platform. But don't worry, the platform takes care of everything for you. It's the effectiveness of the technology. So you can actually concentrate your time and your energy on the things at hand, i.e. making good quality investments or making sure that you're building your company to the highest standards that investors would actually be very keen to invest in you at the end of the day.
And I think we're already seeing that kind of tokenization, if you will, of real world assets. If you look at old school mining transactions where you would enter into a streaming contract and you would kind of say, well, you're entitled to this future profit from what I'm digging up under the ground that I haven't dug up under the ground yet. But Renogen recently announced that with its helium project down in Virginia. And that was basically a tokenized transaction. We do see there's a surge in blockchain-based products and services. What do you believe sets Mesh.Trade apart from other blockchain-based platforms out there? And how do you plan to maintain a competitive edge in a market that is extremely dynamic?
And I think the magic of being in this industry is that it's so dynamic. It is that innovation is actually coming forth and hitting the end client. So there's benefits both from efficiency and from a cost perspective that's coming and streaming into the market and is not just retained by certain companies within the pipeline. And what we do within Mesh to make us unique and what sets us apart is that we are a platform. I mentioned earlier that we are a multi-sided platform that offers a value proposition both for the people creating the assets and also the people investing in the assets. And I fundamentally believe that that is the magic of Mesh, where we can actually directly connect these people effectively and efficiently over the platform. Now, how are we staying abreast of the technology? How are we keeping that competitive edge so we can keep on attracting more and more people to our platform? Firstly, we are blockchain agnostic. So it doesn't mean whether we are running on the Bitcoin blockchain, the Ethereum blockchain, the Stellar blockchain. We don't care. What we care about is that we're giving the best experience to our end users. So we're building ourselves bigger and bigger. The next step that we are taking is we spoke previously about us attaining investment quite recently is we're building a network around the capital markets. So we're not just confined to the South African space, we're also expanding into other jurisdictions and other countries so we can effectively create this network of capital markets. It is the most interesting and most effective when capital can flow elegantly across borders, still complying, still taking care of regulations, but not making that the end client's problem. So it happens in an elegant flow for them at the end of the day.
Wow. I mean, this is exactly what we need actually to re-stimulate capital markets, because on the listed traditional capital market space, the trend worldwide, and I think it's accentuated in South Africa, has been of delistings. Issuers finding it just so burdensome to comply with all of the regulations. And that's really... It's really sad because a lot of that action then takes place privately, and many retail investors then cannot participate outside of your very high net worth individuals with family offices, for example. Now, let's come back to that investment. It was 182 million rand from Andile Ngaba's Convergence Partners, a very well-known private equity GP, and some development finance institutions as well. Can you just elaborate on the specific areas of growth that this new capital injection is going to support? And what are your sort of short-term and long-term goals that you aim to achieve with this?
Michael, I think you make such a strong point around the delisting that we currently see within the South African market, but also internationally, that is occurring. What is actually happening here is people are looking for a market that is serving them better, that is serving the growth of their companies better. And this also coincidentally is why we are utilizing the capital that is being invested into our company to gear Mesh specifically for growth. So what we're trying to do in the short end with a specific target on the South African market is we are expanding into an area called the alternative investment space. So what that means is all the investments that actually occur sub-board or off the exchange is what we are focusing our attention on. So this is an expansion into the debt and the equity space, so we can assist those companies in raising project finance, capital for their businesses, or just running daily business as usual kind of operations. We are doing this also very much in compliance with the newest regulations within South Africa. So we're making a large investment into the regulation space and then having good quality operations that are occurring out of our Cape Townian base. Further to that, we're then going to be funding our expansion into a second and a third jurisdiction within the next year to year and a half as well. So we can actually facilitate this network building that we just previously mentioned in your previous question.
It sounds like you've got a lot on your plate at the moment, expanding into other regions. And it's an interesting phase of any company when you go from that proof of concept, you're a startup, you're a creator, you're a builder, now you're scaling. And the old adage goes, don't scale to fail, because with it comes new systems and processes and all of that. Are you concerned about this particular part of the journey, and are you comfortable being the jockey for this particular part of the journey, or is it time to bring in other eyes, other sets of managerial talents and qualities into Mesh.Trade?
I am definitely very comfortable with being the jockey. I think the horse has been saddled and my boots have been cleaned. So we're fully in the seat and fully in control. But as you mentioned, growth is challenging, but so fantastic to be able to tackle as a business owner. If you don't get invigorated by that challenge alone, you'll get out the hot seat. So we are very much very comfortable in the seat, and also I have an incredible team of leaders around me. We're also bringing in some key new individuals into the business as well, because as you mentioned, operations get bigger, systems need to improve. You all of a sudden lose some of that agility of a startup company. But we have a culture within Mesh that we have adopted very kindly from Amazon, saying it is always day zero or always day one. You can never go into the day two mentality, because as soon as you start going into the day two mentality, you lose your effectiveness, you lose your agility, you lose your ability to make plans that are the best for your customers. So we challenge our people internally to always keep that mentality of, we're just starting out now. We haven't made it yet. We have so much good work to do within this business.
I love that answer. I mean, clearly you are loving this building that you're doing, building out a new capital markets paradigm, which must be exhilarating, must be extremely challenging. I'm sure you don't get all that much sleep at the moment. Just lastly,
complexity is fantastic,
and that's ultimately what you're trying to solve for at the same time as well. And we talk about blockchain, but I think there's been a lot of talk around digital currencies worldwide, central bank digital currencies. We're toying with one here in South Africa. I know the SEC has really taken a particularly hard line, I think, approach to regulating crypto asset service providers. We've seen our own SARB, I think, take a much more nuanced approach that the industry seems to be welcoming with open arms. What are your predictions for the future of digital currencies, and what should we be looking out for in terms of the specific trends as you see them at the coalface?
I believe that the trends that we're currently seeing within the digital currency space is actually building a bridge for us to step into what Mesh's focus is, the real world asset component. So you're seeing a trend of people becoming more and more comfortable with dealing with cryptocurrencies, stablecoins, and digital currencies alike, where we are effectively seeing that we have crossed the innovation gap and people are starting to pick up these assets as a concrete part of their investment portfolios. I think a current trend that's coming out is that you're seeing between a 5 to 6% allocation in portfolios towards currencies such as cryptocurrencies, digital currencies, and stablecoins. So I'm seeing that more and more people are comfortable with it, more and more people are owning it, and more people are using it to transact with. So my prediction for where digital currencies is going is that we're going to start seeing real-world assets being denominated in these currencies, and that we're effectively going to stimulate the capital markets with these currencies as well in the very near future.
Very exciting indeed. Thank you very much for your time. Connie Bloem, co-founder and managing director of Mesh.Trade, who shares just a little glimpse into her journey of really revolutionizing capital markets. Connie, take care.
Thank you, Michael.